Hey, good morning, everybody out there in Primerica land. We are here in Durango, Colorado, at my home with David and Kara Dowers from Arkansas and a few of their teammates that were up here this weekend on a little ski retreat. We had a great time. We skied. We actually went out and did some target shooting and plinking of some targets yesterday and shooting skeet and just had a good time. Talking about the business and talking about building personal relationships and having some fun in the business, and just really had a great time. As you know, we offer the hierarchy, the opportunity to come to my home, either here in Durango or perhaps even in Scottsdale, Arizona, either to play golf or to come skiing or to come shooting with bird hunting if that's something you're interested in, or playing golf with me. We offer those weekends to the hierarchy, and I'm going to probably start off with David and Kara and asking them about their thoughts about doing things like this, because one of the things that Art Williams taught us early on in the business is that it's very important to build strong personal relationships with your team and to have fun and enjoy each other, not only from a business setting, but out having fun and enjoying life in general. So Kara, you are one of the top female RVPs in the company. You have done an awesome job in Arkansas. I know you moved from Kansas City to Arkansas. You and David work in the business as a partnership. Tell us from your point of view. You obviously had a contest. You had 6 of your teammates up here with you. Give us some insight as to what did you get out of this sort of weekend? What were some of the things that you think have made a difference for you this weekend, and some of the things you've gotten sort of out of just being here with me and and Judd and the family and your teammates, just having a good time? What are some of the things you got out of this?
Well, first of all, thank you, Rusty, and thank you, Judd. I think when we saw the opportunity come up for this event, it took David and I back to prior experiences with you that were really turning points for us in our business, points where we were working hard, we were striving, we were competing, we were every day questioning, do we have what it takes? And there was the Manzanillo trip, there were Aspen trips with you, and it's like those opportunities came along at a time when we really needed that. Right. And we went back with a bigger vision. We felt believed in. We felt more confident that we could do this. We went back with more skills and more tools and more resources. So when we got your email that you were opening this up, I was like, oh my goodness. This is just so generous, number one, and it's just amazing. We just have to get there. And he's going to put us up and he's going to feed us, and we're going. I just immediately answered him back and said, please count us in, and then having, the anticipation of that is one thing. Just even the build up,
sure,
the looking
sure.
forward to it is so much a part of the Primerica journey, building to it, selling it, promoting it, designing the contest. We had obviously Eugene and Darcy Krapitsky who won, and we had another couple, Tony and Jason Buchanan, a new couple that last minute, because of some things that they couldn't control, couldn't come. We got to bring another young couple. They didn't compete, they didn't qualify to come, but they understood the opportunity, and they moved heaven and earth to make it happen, to come.
Yeah, they were wonderful. They had to leave a little early today, so to drive all the way back 17 hours. So let me stop you there for a second, because let me just make a point. I can recall when Art, called a meeting or had an event or something, and I never gave it a second thought that I wasn't going to be there. No matter where you talk about moving heaven and earth. To have this young couple, new in the business, I guess, Scott and Jordan, just really new in the business. Packing up, spur of the moment, driving 17 hours to Durango, Colorado. Now, to me, that shows, a tenacity of purpose that I mean, they're going to make it.
Yeah.
You know, if they continue to do the things they're supposed to do, they're going to make it. And I wonder sometimes about people that, you know, won't get up early enough on a Saturday morning to come to training, you know, and they live 20 minutes from the office. And here's a young couple that, you know, drive 17 hours to be with us, to enjoy it. Obviously, they ski, they had a good time and everything about that, but there was a commitment there. And I think that commitment is very important. And you guys obviously have done a great job with that. David, give us, you know, you obviously see this business, you know, not only from a man's point of view, but really in a lot of ways, a partner's point of view, since Kara is sort of the RVP, you know, leading the charge out there. But you guys work together, you know, day in and day out. What did you sort of gain from this weekend?
Well, as Kara mentioned, the previous times, it was 15 years ago we went to Aspen, and
yeah, you could have said that. Didn't have to say that. Okay, 15 years ago.
Well, I was trying to count how long ago it was.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to forget how old I am there, David. But go ahead.
But it did at that time. Like Kara said, it made such an impression on us that we needed that at that time to see this bigger vision of Primerica and the what you could have. And so, you know, like Kara said, when this opportunity came up, it was like there was no, not even a moment's hesitation to take advantage of it, and we'll work everything else around that weekend and running the contest. So I've just, you know, the stretching of my vision as a partner, what can happen if we continue to work hard and do the things that need to be done, and pass that on to our, you know, teammates
Sure.
and our new RVPs.
Sure.
And it's been fun. It was really fun having Scotty and Jordan here, who, like I said, had to leave. That, you know, their eyes were like really big on a lot of things. It's like they had never done, you know, or seen this kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that was really fun for me, seeing them so young and being exposed to this.
I think that's really one of the most important things, is that, you know, we as sort of human beings, we sort of get in a groove, you know, or probably more importantly, or more a better description is a rut. Yeah. of our life and where we are and what we do, and, you know, the parameters that which we live in. And I think it's really important to, you know, for people to expand their vision, to see more things, go more places, do more things. I know as a child, my dad we lived up in the northeast of New Jersey, and my dad lived in Tennessee, and we'd go on road trips all the time. And I remember just, you know, my eyes were always wide open of all the things, you know, out there that I normally wouldn't see, that all of a sudden I was able to see. And one of the great benefits of Primerica is that having the opportunity to build strong personal relationships, being able to, you know, get to know people, not just as business associates, but just as friends and neighbors and just good people. And that's something that, you know, has I mean, I've been doing this 40-something years, and I continue to see, you know, how important it is to, you know, to have these kind of events, and, you know, and just enjoy each other's company. And that's what's really, really important in my mind. You know, that we go out and do things, you know, like going out yesterday. Judd, you know, we didn't ski yesterday, and Judd offered to take us out. You know, he's a certified, you know, shooting instructor and all that sort of stuff. And so we went out and plunked targets and shot skeet and had a good time and walked around town and went to the museum and just had I mean, that to me is what these kind of weekends, you know, are all about. So, you know, it's really, you want to have fun, but more importantly, one of the things that that I can recall is, you know, driving places to go to events and having 2 or 3 teammates with me. You know, yeah, we may talk about the weather or talk about the local sports team, but ultimately we got around to talking about business and how to build it, what to say, how to do things. And I know, you know, that's part of what we do in these events. And it's the spontaneous questions that all of a sudden come up, and then you go off onto that sort of tangent of, you know, how do you prospect, what do you say, you know, what happens if this happens, and you just start beginning to talk about that, and it becomes a great Primerica learning experience, not just a fun experience, but a real learning experience. Why don't we pass the mic over to Eugene and Darcy. you're relatively new, Eugene. You've been in the business how long now?
It's about 4.5 years now.
About 4.5 years. And so you've seen, a lot of things happen, but you're still in that sort of learning phase of Primerica. Give us your opinion of this weekend and sort of how you see it. And you and Darcy, Darcy's not in the business, but you're a partnership. And how do you see this type of weekend affecting your business?
So I think, honestly, Rusty, there were two big takeaways, right? The first is probably what Kara and David experienced 15 years ago, right? In that, the last 4.5 years has been a roller coaster, right? It's up and down. And we were part-time first, went full-time, and then after we went full-time, took us about 2 years to get to RVP. And it's such a struggle in the trenches that when you're in the trenches, it's tough to see the big picture and where we're going.
Right.
And so I think the first major takeaway was when you get to see your house, you get to be with you get to see the meals, you get to see the lifestyle that if you work hard, you can have for yourself and your family. I think that's the biggest takeaway, number one, is to be able to see it, live it, breathe it, and go, if we just keep it going, we just keep up the momentum, we keep doing what we're doing, eventually this is what can be as long as we don't let up. I think that was the first big takeaway.
That's true.
The second big takeaway was really what you were just talking about, to get to pick your brain. And, it's one thing to hear Art Williams on a CD and to hear about the history. It's another thing to experience the history with you, whether it's the anecdotes, whether it's the storytelling, whether it's, to be able to hear that history first person is a completely different ballgame. And I think so many folks at Primerica, they don't know what happened 37 years ago. And, they just see the Primerica that's today, how easy it is. They don't know what you guys went through 37 years ago. And,
that's absolutely true.
And to see that and experience it, I've always loved the history because that's where my passion comes for the business, is knowing what you all went through. To get to hear that firsthand is it's different than hearing it off a CD.
Yeah.
And so I think that was my second major takeaway, was to be able to take that, integrate that, and keep that passion for what you all started 37 years ago, just continue the crusade as we talked about, as it's morphing, it's changing, but at its core, it's still the same.
Right.
So.
Right. That's great. Yeah, because I think, again, one of the things that's really important is to sort of understand the historical values of the business. And Kara and David and I were talking at dinner the other night about how the basic why of the business, the platform from which we try to build our business really hasn't really changed a great deal. The mechanics have changed, the moving parts have changed. It's become it's a little bit harder to get licensed. There's more moving parts in the product. You got to, there's all the continuing education, all the other stuff that we have to, have to do. But the ultimate established reason why we do what we do really hasn't changed. And to me, that's why it's so important for us to continue to understand the historical values that Art and Angela Williams instilled in me and the early people, that we continue to try to carry on today. And it is a different business, okay, in a lot of ways, but I just revel in the fact that the core values of why we do what we do, really haven't changed. And it's from that platform that we have to build our business and utilize what we have today, and I'm always fond of saying what you have to do is you have to take the best of the past and blend it with the best of the present in order to build a better future. And so, I appreciate you saying those things, because I truly believe that what you're talking about is very, very important, for someone to understand, what it takes to be great, what it takes to build a great business. And, we just got to continue to pound and pound and pound away at that. One of the things and Kara was talking about this also. I know this sounds sort of trite, but it is a lot easier to make a lot of money today than it was back in the old days, when the average commission per sale, average commission for a life sale, might have been $100. And your average override might have been 10 or 15 or $20. So you had to go out and write a lot of business, and produce a lot of business to make, the kind of money. And, today when you have the myriad of products that we have, I mean, the variable annuity, the fixed annuity, the managed accounts, and all the securities things that we have, and the bonus programs that we have. I mean, if you put your mind to it, you can make a lot of money, doing our Primerica business. And we talked about this last night on the way home from dinner, that the variable in our business is not the business. The variable in our business is the people that do the business. And to what degree do they really decide, that they want to do it and they want to be committed to it? For me, it was, it was hard. Sometimes it's hard to describe because people tend to get tired, they tend to, get worn out, and they look for, the sand traps to make, in a golf analogy, as opposed to looking past the sand traps to the green and to the flag and to putting the ball in the hole, again, using a golf analogy. And I think that was one of the things that separated, a guy like Rusty Crossland from the average and ordinary person that, started in the business and just quit, is that, I never had a plan B, knew that this is what I wanted to do, and my attitude has always been, is if there is a, let's see the best way to put it, if there is a carrot out there to go for, if there's something out there to go for that will enhance your life personally, professionally, emotionally, financially, and otherwise, if there's something out there to go for and you are given the right or the opportunity to go for that, why not go for it? If it's there for the taking and anybody can have it, I mean, we're not saying that just people of this group can have it. We're saying everybody can have it. So why not go for it? That's always been sort of my philosophy. Darcy, just real quickly, sort of from a partner's, point of view, I'm not privy to, so how connected you guys are in the business, but just this weekend, what's your takeaway? What's your takeaway from this?
I would say, we are, while I'm not active in terms of, out there, kitchen table appointments, writing business, we are a partnership in that I work full time. I help take care of the kids in the evening so that Eugene can be out, meeting with couples and doing kitchen table appointments, writing business. And I think the biggest thing for us this weekend, for me at least, was to, get away from the regular routine, the everyday things, and as has been mentioned before, really form those personal relationships and sit down and be able to talk to somebody one-on-one who was so successful in the business. And we've been on a couple of Primerica trips, but it's so big and there's so many people that it's hard to get that, that one-on-one personal development. And it's been, I think, very beneficial for us to just have that that time, here with
And
you
don't
guys.
you think also, Darcy, that, from a partner's perspective, that someone's, you've obviously got your own career, you got your kids, you got all that sort of stuff, and you're in the business with Eugene, but you, from my perception, okay, I saw you in some small way, not in any, big way, but in some small way, I saw you sort of step out of your comfort zone a little bit and sort of do a few things that were a little different, and because one of the things Art always talked about is, he always talked about experience is the key to greatness. The things that you experience in life can lead to a greater experience, and not that you're going to go out and join the NRA or anything like that. But, we're talking about Darcy was out there first time, maybe not the first time, but shooting a pistol with Judd and so forth at targets and stepping out of her comfort zone. She wasn't quite sure that's something she wanted to do, but she did it, and I gave her a lot of credit for that. But that's also part of the Primerica experience because, as I said, most people are, they're in they're 9 to 5 to 65. They're just in that rut, and they never get out of it, and they never experience anything other than, sort of where they are. And that's another thing that I love about this business. I mean, this business has given me the opportunity to travel all over the world and do things that I'm sure very, very few people have had the opportunity to do. And that's part of what I enjoy about the Primerica experience. So, Keith, why don't you and Leanne are from Kansas City. You're not
Yes.
from the Arkansas group here. So,
Jody Orles.
yeah, Jody and
Jody
Dan
Orles,
and
Bay
Jody
Shop.
Orle from Kansas. And so give us your,
Missouri.
oh, Missouri, excuse me. I'm sorry. Oh, Lord, I don't want to get the Kansas and the Missouri crowd after me. But give us some insight. What, Gene, Keith, we've had we have some conversations. And,
Yes, we have.
so let's, what have you gleaned from this weekend?
We went to RVP ASAP a couple years ago.
Oh, okay, here in Durango, yeah.
Here in Durango, and just dearly loved that experience. And when we were made aware of this contest to be able to come out here, we both said we got to do that, because it's to be able to be with you, and it's totally different than what I was expecting. I thought we were going to be able to come out here and sit through some meetings, 1 or 2 days of just awesome one-on-one meetings, in a small group setting. And it was, oh man, it was just totally different. I mean, we got so much information and just the intimate times with you. But it was just totally different. Just the relaxation, the genuine open-heartedness that you share yourself, your home, just everything. And it was just the opportunity to be able to come out here and experience something totally different. And at the same time, I'm still getting what I thought we might get, but to be able to experience the things that most of us aren't able to ever experience. And if we don't fight for that opportunity that's put out there for us, we may never get to experience those.
Let me interrupt you. I think to just sort of segue back to one of the things that Darcy said is that you go to those. Like we just got back from Hawaii. There's 1,500 people there. And you pass people sort of in the night. And you wave to them, and you get a chance maybe at breakfast to talk to some people, or you get together or whatever. And those are great. I mean, those things are great. To experience. But one of the things that we try to do is at every one of those kind of events, we try to take, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 couples, how many, whatever, in whatever contest we're running at the time, and get off somewhere else, before that. And we've done that, year after year after year after year. And I can promise you that you talk to, the Richard and Mindy Churches, the George and Jackie Martiniks, the Ed and Yvonne Ortiz's, the Chappelles, or just any number, the Binkleys, any number of these people that have traveled with us to these faraway places, in the small groups, and I say this with humility. I mean, they will tell you that those are way more better trips than the trips that John and Rick put on, because it is a small group. We're at a different place. We get to have fun together. We do things together, and it's a neat experience. And,
It is totally
And
awesome.
so one of the things also is that when I'm at home, I mean, I'm sort of relaxed. I mean, you're lucky. We're going to just do a jammies approach this morning, but everybody decided to put their jeans on, which is good. And but that's what it's all about, And I think one of the things for in Rusty Crossland's mind is that he's never really forgotten where he started and where he came from.
Yeah, you're just down to earth. Just
And I think that again, one of perhaps the and it's not a criticism, but maybe it's more of an observation, that some of the newer, younger leaders, that really didn't have, the Art and Angela Williams experience like I did, maybe sometimes they're not quite as down to earth. Maybe they are a little bit above others, and I just think that leadership, when you lead, but leadership is also being on par with the people that you're leading, and giving them the opportunity to see that you are for real and that you're not above them. And Rusty Crossland has never seen himself as being somebody above someone else. What makes me different is I've just been here longer, and maybe I've done it somewhat better than other folks. And but that's all part of the business, and but having fun is, I think, also a part. Leanne, give us your sort of your thoughts, okay?
Well, I've just loved this weekend, and it is hard to anticipate what you're going to get out of it, what it's going to be like. But what I've seen is moments in my life that can never, ever be recreated. And just the personal conversations, riding in the car back and forth to the different places we've gone, and just the casual conversation has, whether it's talking about Primerica or just life or the weather or anything, just those personal connections. I think the personal relationships are what unlock the doors to our heart. And it's helping me to go back to my team and not be so focused on the Rule of 72 and the cash value and all the basic facts of our business that, like you mentioned last night, we can teach anybody that stuff, but not everybody can connect with people. And that's where I believe our business, when we go back, that's a key, that it isn't just doing the business, because that's not always fun. The fun is the sharing life together and laughing with each other and paying attention to those personal characteristics that make each of us individuals, and not looking past that, but just studying people and getting to see who they are and connecting with that in a major way. That's the dream that I've been sold this weekend, is not worry about just those the rituals of the business, but just the relaxing of being with each other, and not worrying about money, not worrying about anything but the freedom of time to be with who you want, where you want, be doing what you want for as long as you want, and nobody's putting hindrances or time frames. That's a whole side of life that most of us don't experience.
Right.
Coming out of a job or even being a
Right.
stay-at-home mom.
Right.
We have a schedule, and
Right.
when that schedule gets off track, life gets hard. But we can't live that way all of our life. We have to connect with people and just relax and listen with the intent to understand. And I've taken so much, and it's all just the emotional, relational side of Primerica. I haven't learned anything new about my business and how to go back and teach it better. It's how to treat people and how to connect with them better is what I've learned. That's been amazing.
Yeah, I don't know that I could have said that any better. I really appreciate that, Leanne, because that's one of the things that again I think everybody needs to understand is that we need to revel in the fact that we're different, that we are a unique experience. We are different, and the people that join Primerica and embrace it, and what I refer to as really and truly embrace the Primerica experience, you've got to be different. I mean, if you're not, I don't think you can survive in here, unless you're willing, to be flexible. And the world out there is plastic. They don't want to bend. They don't want to change. They don't want to. They want to just sort of stay in the same mode they're in. And I just never wanted to be that kind of person. I always wanted to experience more, do more, be more, go more. Just have things. Just being able to conquer things, and that's what the business allows us to do. Money is important. It does take care of everything, but at the end of the day, it's the people that really do make the business. And you guys have obviously experienced that not just here, but on your own throughout the your whole Primerica experience. And we just need to keep reminding people that we are different, and we do march to a different beat of the drum. And that's one of the reasons why we've been so successful, is that we're not in this plastic mold of what business is supposed to be, at least in the general terms, all about. We are different. Why don't you pass the mic back around over here, and let me get back to Kara for a second.
Can I add one?
Yeah, if you want to add a
wrap up
comment about that, go ahead, please.
Well, as you were wrapping up, Leanne, and Rusty said uniqueness, I was thinking, the average person in Primerica has no idea, the new person, how special that uniqueness is, because you think in the normal business world, corporate world, the CEO, the chairman of the board does not bring the mid-level managers or the entry-level people to their house for 4 days, wine them, dine them, talk about their families, take them into their lives. That doesn't happen.
That's true.
And it's truly amazing. I mean, because it would have been very easy for Rusty to say, well, we're going to put you up over here in this condo. We're going to meet for dinner. We're going to have that training session at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. But, I mean, at his level, the level that he is at, who he could be, where he could be, what he could be doing, all the options he has before him, he chose these 3 weekends and other weekends to invite us into his life. And I mean, that to me is like, that really sells me the dream, Rusty, because the people part of the business really motivates me, and impact and influence and mentoring. We've heard a lot about recently the millennial generation. I love it that we have the ability as 30, 40, and 50-year-olds to be mentors to the millennials.
Sure.
That really inspires me and moves me. And you've given us just a tremendous example of what financial independence and choosing to still be in the game, to pass that on to us so we can in turn pass it on. That's very motivating to me.
I think that we're in the people business, and there's two things we have to do. We have to keep the people that we have, moving forward, and we have to find new people to motivate to get them to move forward. And that's really what our responsibilities are. And we use buy term and invest the difference, the Rule 72, all the stuff that Leanne was talking about over there. We use that as the sort of the conduit, or not necessarily the conduit. It's the machine we use, to get to the end. It's the means to the end, and it just happens to be that's what we do. But ultimately, we're in the people business, and we need to to experience that and get people to move, and like I said, have the people that we currently have in the business, keep them moving forward, and then the new people that we hire, get them to start and move forward. Let me ask Kara, you and David, real quickly. What are some of the things that you try to do in your business to get your new recruits off to a fast start? What are some of the things that you're trying to do? Just you got them in, they turned in their IBA. Maybe they even haven't sat for their licensure. What are you doing to get your people out in the field, talking to people, getting them moving? And I'm going to sort of ask that to everybody. You first.
Sure, and I think that's probably the one link in our business that we are in the process of really, really refining and getting way better at, because I think it's kind of the final piece for us. I think when the company streamlined and simplified the 3 recruits and three sales in 30 days, that was a gold mine, because it just cleared the air and it made a clear-cut path of what needs to happen, what we all did early on. And so we're just trying to keep it really simple, that we get lists of people, we go see them, and we do that in terms of the first brush. We do that in the 30-day period.
Yeah.
And so then us as leaders, inspecting what we expect is working with our leadership team. Okay, did you get the list? Did you qualify the list? And did you set up 4 appointments? So we're kind of using that on that first new rep interview there's so many things you can be doing, registering for
Right.
class, getting on POL, certification videos. And what happens, I'm finding people circle around doing everything but getting a list and setting up 4 or 6 or 10 appointments.
Well, let me interject something there too, because here again, this goes back to the differences of when Rusty Crossman was out there. I mean, there's so many more moving parts today, like you're talking about the certification videos, the PFSU. You got to go do all that crap, And when I turned in my hiring papers in October of 1972, in the state of Georgia, it was known as a deemer state, which means that 7 days after I turned my hiring pack in, I was deemed licensed. So I was out on the 8th day writing business, and we don't really have that today. So you've got to have a system to get people going and get them started. David, give us your sort of comment on that as far as getting people out into the field fast.
And maybe talk about licensing too, because that's his.
Yeah, well, you guys do great. You guys have a great licensing percentage.
Well, we've gotten a lot better at it, and I've been an instructor for now about 12 years, and the company has put so much more focus on licensing that it's created a focus for us as well. And we just track the new recruit in the licensing process just a lot closer, because I think it's I can't think of his name now, but if you leave a recruit to figure out what they're going to do, they're not going to do anything.
They're not gonna, you're exactly right. Path of least resistance.
Yeah, they're going to screw it up. If you let them try to figure out their own licensing, so you have to really step by step take them by the hand and get them through the licensing. And the company's allowing the instructors to become licensing coaches. That was a big deal, because we were kind of they limited how many classes we could have. If you didn't have enough students, they'd cancel the class.
Yeah.
And they've opened that up now, where it's freed up the instructor now to tutor and get paid. And we're taking full advantage of that.
Good.
And having a lot more one-on-one time with the licensee to get them licensed. So we're taking advantage of the company allowing that now. A lot more freedom to help people in whatever way to get licensed.
Great. Eugene, what are you guys doing to get them out fast?
So what we did about 60 to 90 days ago as we were going RVP, Rusty, is Kara hit it dead on. I mean, it's so complicated. There's so much to learn that we've got to simplify it down. And so I think we've gone to really a 3-step process that hopefully makes it very easy. Number one is be very, very focused on 3x3 in 30 days. So even after we go through our fast start packet and we, give them a little bit of information, the last page is, here's your immediate focus areas. And the immediate focus areas are 3x3 in 30 days. Go see 10 to 15 people, right? Go get in front of 30 people in 30 days. So that's the first piece, is just getting them focused on the right thing, which is 3x3 in 30 days. I think if you do that, everything else takes care of itself. The second thing from a systems perspective is to help them get that 3x3 in 30 days. And so what we've started doing now is just taking charge of the front end of the business. So instead of waiting on the new recruit to set the appointments, we now have our new people that have come on board in the last 60 days they're now setting those appointments for the people. And so it's the same script that we use whether you're setting them or your trainer's setting them, is just third person versus first person.
Right.
So it's an easy transition for them 30 days later when they become trainers. The second part of that is that we just give them a script. On the first time appointment, here's the script. So the new recruit on the very first appointment is doing everything. So the trainer is doing the beginning where they're just getting to know the client. They're finding out their goals and dreams, and then we hand the script over to the new recruit. We say, hey, you read this. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes. We're in the presentation. We ask the right closing questions, so we get an F&A every time. And then we let the new recruit do the F&A, the financial needs analysis, because it's so simplistic now. And so then the new recruit is saying, this works every time.
Yeah.
And so creating that belief and confidence is very, very important.
That is so critical. That's so critical.
And then the third piece to that is then the recognition. So what we started about 30 days ago was, for us, the 3x3 in 30 days we stole from Christian David and their organization. We call it a Pacesetter Award. And so now we've created this huge plaque that has every person that got to Pacesetter, how many days they did it in, so that it becomes very competitive. Who can do it in 7 days or 9 days? Forget the 30. Let's do it faster. And give them their own plaque so that they can take with them. So they've got that recognition to go, I accomplished something.
Fantastic.
And then that creates that momentum for them to go, okay, now I can go do this with somebody else. And so I think we're another probably 30 to 60 days from that system really being fine-tuned, but we're now seeing our brand new people that have been in the business 60 days, I'm here, and they're out field training people, which we never really had happening. And so I think those 3 steps, keeping it simple, that's really what's helped us.
That's awesome, because again, that's, you don't have a business if you have to do everything. If you don't have a business. So until you get people out there on their own field training, and like you said, you're here, and you got teammates at home working, I mean, you now have a business. And that's what this is all about. Darcy, you have anything to add to that on the front end, or you want to just pass it over to Keith and them, okay? I'll pass it over. Okay, Keith. So you and Leanne, what are you doing to get your teammates out in the field quickly?
I think what we've discovered is we've lost too many people to getting them through the system that's laid out there for us, and all the work that you guys have already addressed, and it's as vital and important as that is. We've said we've got to get them on appointments within the next 24 to 48 hours. We got to get that new. The certifications can come a little bit later. Let's get them on the appointments now, because we're losing them. They're getting busy with life.
Sure.
And so that's probably the biggest thing for us. That we just said, okay, we're going to make that phone call.
Yeah, I think it's so critical to do that, because I know that once, because I made appointments the very next day after I met Art, and he came back, and it was my next door neighbor, and being able to see the whole process very quickly, and seeing how it works, and then seeing how that prospect responds is critical in the mindset of that new recruit as to is this thing for real? Is this just some other deal? Leanne, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, just to add to that getting them out in the field in the first 24 to 48 hours, the belief that it gives to them is that, okay, the people I know really do think this is good. And they walk out of that first training appointment with 4, 5, 10 names of referrals, and they really do see, okay, this will work. And it isn't just the people I know today, because they're thinking, I don't know that many. Everybody says, I don't know that many people. Well, once they understand that you go see somebody and they give you 5 to 10 names, then yeah, this is a business that works. And it's critical, I believe, also to get them licensed and trained as fast as possible. So it is important to start that licensing process, but I would never want one of our new recruits to go to class before they've ever been on an appointment, because that'll blow them out pretty quick too. So it's really a balance of doing both, but getting them out in the field in that first day or two and letting them see the excitement, the fun. They have no idea what it's going to be like until they walk in that home and see the reception and the warmth. And
Right.
even if somebody's sitting back from the table with their arms closed before they're done, they're leaning across the table, and when they see that, it's like
Right.
they're in. And
Right.
just getting them well into their training, if not fully trained, by the time they're licensed.
Yeah, and I think, again, one of the major keys here is that we do some incredible things for people. Mm-hmm. And when people, they don't quite know what to expect, and because even when Art came to see me, I didn't really quite know what to expect. Mm-hmm. And, but then when I saw it, and I saw the possibility, and I started to apply the possibility to my own life, that's when I really got excited, because I could see that, man, if what he's telling me is true, this could be the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for me. I just have to learn more about it and figure out how to do it. So I'm in. I'm in. Let's as we sort of wind down our little conversation here, let me just open it up to. This is your chance to ask Rusty a question. What's on your mind? What is something that maybe you have a question about that I might be able to help answer for you? And that's a broad spectrum of stuff. So Leanne, you have the mic. I'll give it to you first. You have a question for me, or you want to pass it on to Keith?
Well, I
or?
would love the conversation we had coming home last night, just for you to expound or just even repeat what you said, because I could hear that every day for the rest of my life. You were really just saying you have to look inside yourself and find what makes you different from the normal person. And anybody, like I said, anybody can learn the facts of our business, but it's never giving up on the part of you that makes you you. And it all comes down to just that continual belief in yourself, because boy, one thought creeps in your mind, and then the next thing you know, you're out in the desert on believing that this is going to
Sure.
work for you. So
you
said some key things in the car last night, and I wish I would have had my phone recorded.
Okay. I'm not sure I can remember to repeat those, but I can tell you that number one, I grew up very poor and had experiences that are engraved in my mind, that I can see in my mind's eye right now, that were not fun. And so I was very, very motivated to never, not only for me never to have that happen to me again, but for my children and my grandchildren, and hopefully someday my great-grandchildren, not to experience that. The challenge that I had, I didn't know what I was going to be able to do to prevent that from ever happening for them. And by the grace of God, I was able to meet Art Williams. I saw it very quickly. I was a supreme competitor, and it was just something that I saw, I understood. I'd never taken a business course. I didn't know anything about buy term and invest the difference. All I knew is what Art Williams showed me, that if you go out and you talk to someone who has a cash value policy, and you can replace it with a term policy, and you can take the money that you save them and put it in a mutual fund, you could make $200 or $300 every sale. Well, I was making less than $600 a month teaching and coaching. So it wasn't very difficult for me to grasp the opportunity that I could make some money doing this. And as long as it was legal, and as long as I could do it, I was going to do it. So I think just my own personal hardship experiences and my competitive nature, and what's sort of interesting, and actually this is probably the first time I've ever thought about this. My mom wasn't real competitive. My dad was really laid back and, not, they didn't play sports or, compete for things, although my dad was Judd probably doesn't even know this, my dad was actually a distinguished expert in pistol shooting when he was on the police force. He had plaques and plaques and plaques and plaques and plaques. He was just fantastic. I guess that was sort of competitive, but I don't know where I got that from, but I just knew that there were two things in life I hated, and both of them were to lose at anything. And that's what drove me. And because of the competitive spirit of Art Williams, I was in, tee it up, hit it, go find it, hit it again. That's really the mentality that I had, going into this thing, and knew that there was no top, so everybody could get to the top. There was not just a certain number of spaces at the top. So, if you got there, Keith, before I did, I couldn't get there. That was one of the things that really excited me, is that everybody could win. So that means that if I was willing to work hard, I could win. I don't know, if that sort of helps you. Keith, what's your thought?
Well, one question that came to my mind at home, before we come out, that I wanted to have an opportunity to ask. Now, this probably doesn't happen to anyone else, but just in case it does, when you have someone that is excited about what we do, You know, when you sit down at the kitchen table and they want to get on board with you, but they're going to be gone for the next 2 or 3 weeks. What do?
They're gone for the next
They're
two?
gone for the next 2 weeks due to vacation
Right.
or
Well, I think the obvious thing is that you've got to get a commitment from them to follow up. And, before they left, I would definitely have something on the books, specific date, specific time, what we're going to talk about in the future, send them text messages today. We can send text messages, send them an email, whatever, just reminding them, how excited they were and that, we're going to see you again, in a couple of weeks. And so I think that's the only thing you can do. You can't, people are people are people. And, you got to remember that 30% of the population reserves the right to remain stupid no matter what you tell them. So, but I would definitely have something set up immediately into the future and then continually remind them, using the social media, whatever we have that you can use to continue to remind them and continue to plant the seed of excitement, each time you made some sort of contact with them. That's what I would do. Gene?
So, Rusty, I've heard and seen Art Williams many, many times say the difference between good and great is this much, right? And, we just talked about the fact that there's so many moving parts at Primerica, right? There's the field training, there's the people skills, there's the competitive nature, there's the product knowledge. What do you think it is that took you, the Buissons, the Turley, the Saffords, from the good to the great? What was that one piece that distinguishes you all? Because if we want to get there, that's what we need in our arsenal.
That's a good question, Eugene, and I can answer that pretty simply, is that it's all about attitude. It's how you feel, and it's what you do about how you feel. And for me, I never wanted to disappoint Art Williams. I always wanted Art Williams to think and believe that I was one of the studs, that I was a guy that he could count on, that he didn't have to tell me to do something twice, that, if he told me to go do it, I'd go do it. And I think that you look at all the great leaders, is that they were willing to go beyond where they originally felt they could go. And that was one of the great things that, that Art taught me is to try to get people to get past where they feel they could ever possibly go, and to try to get more out of people than they ever thought they were capable of giving. And I think and the point being is that Art Williams was that type of guy. So in his mentoring of me, he was always stretching me. He was always moving me. He was always getting me to see more, do more, be more, believe more than I actually thought I was capable of doing, being, and believing. And so that's, I think, you look at all those great leaders, they were all that way. They were, they originally saw boundaries, but then they realized that there were no boundaries. And I think that's the great thing that, that I learned in the beginning that keeps people from being great is playing defense instead of playing offense. And to me, that's what it takes. David?
Well, doing a comparison of Primerica compared to corporate, your leadership styles, and you hit on a lot of it right there. My question was treating Primerica like a sport, because you were a coach, Art was a coach, and treating people and developing them through mentorship and coaching instead of being a supervisor or a manager. Playing Primerica like a sport, because so many of the early, greats came from coaching backgrounds. So,
right.
That difference, what could you say, further on about being a coach?
Well, I think again, I was an educator, so and a teacher, and coaching is education and teaching. And when I came to the business, I really saw the same thing. I was coaching and teaching people, about something that they didn't know about. And at the same time, I was recruiting other people and teaching them to teach people about things that they didn't know about, and that whole momentum thing. So to me, it was just a natural transition. from, teaching science and coaching basketball to teaching the rule of 72 and building successful people. To me, it was the same thing, just in a sort of a different environment. And I think you've got to get that mentality that you've got to be an educator, you've got to be a teacher, you've got to be a motivator, you've got to be a mentor, you've got to be a pusher, you've got to be a puller. You've got to, one of the things I'm fond of saying is, I don't want people to think outside the box. I want people to think there is no box. Mm-hmm. And so that the sky's the limit, no matter what it is they want, no matter what it is they want to, achieve. Primerica has a vehicle that will allow them to get to that spot. So, so I think that's true. Kara?
Tell us about the bounce back factor. You're working, people are coming, they're going, people are going to quit, people are going to wait, people are going to think about it, people are going to change their minds. You're on the roller coaster. How do you bounce back? How do you explode to the next level?
Well, I think two things. Number one, people ask me all the time, tell me about, Rusty, the tough times, the difficult times, when you weren't making any money, when your best guy quit, and this, that, and the other. And quite frankly, I never really experienced that in a traumatic way. I mean, yeah, did I have guys quit? Yeah. Did I get chargebacks? Yeah. I made money because I believed that the responsibility was me, that overrides were always a bonus, that I needed to go out and personally produce, personally recruit, personally field train, personally do everything in order to provide for my family. And it wasn't until I was producing lots of RVPs where I ever quit doing that, And so I think that the first thing is never forget why you got in the business in the first place. So if you had a valuable why to start with, then you would you can't give that up. Why would you quit if you can do that? And if your best guy quits, go find somebody else. If you get a chargeback, go write 2 sales instead of 1. If you lose a contest, make a commitment to do whatever it takes the next time not to lose that. Not make sure you're there. And it's all in that. It's just like I was telling Eugene. It's all an attitude. It's how you feel. It's what you do about how you feel, and never forget, why you joined the business. And if you keep that, in the forefront, and you have a value system that says, I got to do this. I got to do this for my family. I got to do this for me. I'm never going back to where I was. I never want to go back to that spot. And if you have that in, like I did, really ingrained in the lines of your, in the fiber of your brain, it's pretty hard to give up. And I think just not having a plan B. Once I quit my teaching and coaching job, I guess in reality, I could have always gone back, but in my mind, there was no going back. And I think that's something as we close today, each of us need to be thinking about, is that we're all given choices in life, and we're given opportunities in life, and it's whether we have the fortitude and the foresight to accept them and to do something about them. And all I know is that Primerica will allow you to do whatever it is you want to do. I remember my favorite story in Primerica is, and I say this at the end of every meeting that I do, is that when many years ago in Seattle, I had this one guy come up to me after a meeting and ask me, what could he get out of the Primerica experience? And I remember trying to fiddle for words and try to give him information, nice house, nice car, this, that, and the other, credit cards, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, he sort of had this stare on his face. And I remember thinking that was so phony for me to even think about that I looked at it and I said, you really can't get anything out of Primerica, of really any significance. The most important thing in my mind is what Primerica gets out of you. And to me, that's the That's the possibility and the promise of Primerica. Inside, all of us beats the heart of a giant, somebody that wants to be somebody, somebody that wants to go somewhere, do things, experience life, everything that life has to offer, except in our JOB, the chances of us ever achieving that aren't really very good. The Primerica experience gives you the opportunity not only to have a lifestyle, but to style your life. And to me, that's what the ultimate goal in Primerica is. Kara, David, Eugene, Darcy, Leanne, Keith, I really appreciate you taking your time. This has been a fun experience for us. Hope you've learned something. Hope the team back home realizes that this is just a fun thing we do, and there are opportunities out there. We'll be talking more about some of these opportunities. Our next broadcast is April the 25th, I think. It's a Saturday, 6 weeks from now. We'll be actually announcing some new things, some new contests. We'll be talking about all the things that we have going on in the hierarchy right now, and hopefully you'll tune into that. So, guys, thank you very much for being here. You all have a safe trip home, and we appreciate y'all. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
You can come forward. Okay, so I'm going to hand you an unloaded pistol. Can you verify that's empty?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So just get in your position so that he can get a picture. Okay, let's get both thumbs forward. Both thumbs. There you go. There you go. Perfect. Finger outside the trigger guard. Okay. Like it though? Okay. Okay, the way you lock this slide back, you pull this back, push this button up, and it locks it. And the way you release it is with this thumb, your right thumb, push down that releases it. Okay. So I'm going to hand you the gun like this.
Okay.
Let's get your other, no, not yet. So here's your magazine. So load and make ready. Put it in there, just kind of give it a shove. Very good. Verify that it's all the way in there. Okay. So now get your left hand, right thumb on top. Okay, now see if you can get your right thumb to drop that slide. Takes a little bit of pressure. Okay, good. Now you're loaded and ready to go. So let's keep the finger out until we're ready. Let's get our thumbs all the way. There you go.
So does this, okay, so I'm kind of pulling.
So yeah, your thumbs should rest. This is that's a smaller gun, but your thumbs should pretty much rest on top of each other like that.
Okay. And with this part, you're just pulling it.
Gently pull back and gently push forward. So it's the equivalent of a firm handshake. Okay, so let's lock our elbows forward. And then you can fire when ready. So rear sight, front sight, target, front sight. That was awesome. Do that 10 more times.
Okay.
Kara's taken after her, what was it, grandmother? Her mom. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, good. So what I want you to do is, because your trigger pull is great. When you release, what's happening is you're pulling the trigger and then you're pulling your finger way up here.
Okay.
So I want you to just pull the trigger and hold it, and then gently release your trigger finger until you feel it click, and keep your finger on the trigger.
Okay.
And then gently pull back again.
Okay.
Okay.
Mine were all over. Yeah, you didn't know that.
That's it.
It's okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
Very good. Hold it right there, and then very good.
Cutting the circulation off your feet. She's back here losing her breath.
Good, good. Keep breathing.
think, but this would be a great place to have a beer. As cold as it is. Thought about it a couple different times.
Okay, so keep it paint. That could be a misfire. Okay, because it didn't lock back. So we want to keep it pointed downrange. And what we want to do in this case, I'm going to grab it. I'm going to eject the magazine. Block the slide just to make sure it wasn't a misfire. Okay. So I'm going to give it back to you in the position it should have been in. And then we're going to safety and holster this. So what we want to do is drop the magazine out, which is this little button right here.
Press it down.
Yeah, press it. Yeah, it's kind of, and you might be able to, you can use your left hand if you want. That's fine. Let's drop this out. We're going to look in the chamber. Verify that it's empty. Stick a finger in there, make sure there's nothing in there. Okay, and then you can close it. Just pull back and let go. Yep. And that's a safe pistol.